Welcome to the first ever episode of Drive Modified. We'll be working on my 2006 Fiesta ST, trying to get way more power out of it. So anyone that's familiar with the Fiesta ST from this sort of year, 2004, 2005, will know they're not especially quick. They use the 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol engine, naturally aspirated, out of a Ford Mondeo, had 150 brake horsepower when they were new. Comparing it to cars of the same era, your Renault Clio 172s and your Honda Civic Type Rs, quite a bit down on power versus what they were. This particular example is not the cleanest. It's got 120,000 miles on the clock. It's a little bit smoky. It's obviously missed a few oil changes. It's got a couple of mods, coilovers, some slightly lighter wheels, but nothing in terms of power. So what we're going to try and do today is bump up the power with some cams, an inlet manifold, and a full exhaust system front to back. So without wasting any time, we'll get it in the garage. You can come along too and follow us through the entire build process. So now we've got the front radiator support off, we can see what we're working with a little bit more. In our case, because we're changing the inlet and the cams, it was easier to take off sort of everything in front of that, just so we have a bit better access. To access the timing chain cover, which has to be removed, we have to remove the engine mount, so we're going to have to support the engine from underneath, take off all of the fan belt, alternator belt, and a couple of other ancillaries, so we can get to the cam cover, timing chain cover, and then we can start removing the cams. So now we're halfway through, we can compare what's come out and what's going to go in. So all the job of a camshaft is to depress the valve into the cylinder. So a normal camshaft that's come out, they're designed to be efficient, a bit performance driven, economical, so you get good fuel economy. What we're doing is replacing it with a high lift, high duration cam. So the higher lift will just push the valve into the cylinder more, allowing a bit more air in, and the slightly longer duration will mean the valve stays depressed a little bit longer than it would with a normal one. So we're going to sort of move away from the economy and the efficiency and move sort of slightly higher towards the performance, so you get a bit more power and a bit more noise, hopefully. So it's a new day. You can tell it's a new day because I'm wearing a different t-shirt that doesn't smell like blood, sweat, tears and disappointment. So I thought we'd go through sort of what we managed to get done last time and what we'll try and do a little bit of today. So it was first time having to go at fitting cams. Went alright. The engine's a little bit tricky to time up because there's no timing marks. So there's no timing marks on the crank and there's no timing marks on the cams either. So you have to set the set top dead center with a crank locking pin and then set the timing of the cams using a setting bar. Not too tricky, but you just have to follow the workshop manual, so it took quite a bit of time. What gave us infinitely more headaches was the inlet manifold. There was a number of issues. First and possibly the biggest issue is the power steering pump. So the pump still fits, but the reservoir that bolts to it doesn't fit anymore, just because this inlet is not meant for this vehicle. It came off a Caterham 360R, so the 2-litre Duratec, where the engine is mounted longitudinally. Obviously here we've got it mounted transversely, and so it just doesn't fit. There is a power steering relocation kit that we've ordered that should be here in a couple of days, and that will solve that issue, hopefully. Issue number 2 is none of the wiring fits anymore. So the map sensor and the throttle body are both in slightly different places to where they were before. So we're going to have to butcher a spare loom that I've got and extend the wires. Shouldn't take too long, but yeah, that one's okay. After that, the issue number 3 is the throttle body. So with the standard inlet, the motor, the plug, all of the stuff that makes the throttle body work is mounted underneath, so there's loads of room for it. In this, the throttle body's clocked 180 degrees, so all the big bits that make it work are sat on top. As a result of that, the bonnet doesn't shut anymore. So fortunately, in our case, the bonnet's double skinned, so we just have to cut a little square out of the innermost skin of the bonnet, and then it should, fingers crossed, fit. Kind of the same sort of issue as that with the new inlet is it's slightly further forward than the original was, so the slam panel with the bonnet latch doesn't fit. So we're going to have to remove the bonnet latch and replace all of the sort of bonnet fixing mechanism with aero catches or bonnet pins. So not done that before, so shouldn't be too tricky. But yeah, so today we're going to try and get some of the wiring done, just because that's a nice, easy sort of afternoon job while we wait for more stuff to arrive. So without further ado, we'll just jump into it. So today we're going to get the Fiesta completely finished in terms of the mechanicals. So all of the inlet, exhaust, power steering, whatever issues, we're going to get it starting, driving out the garage. Probably won't get the bonnet latches done, just because I'll save that for a future episode. But everything to do with making it run, it's going to be done today. So without wasting any time, just jump into it. So we finally managed to get everything finished. So the cams, the inlet, the exhaust front to back, loads of other little bits as well that we didn't know we needed to do. So the wiring, moving the power steering, it was, yeah, it took a bit more than the one day that we'd hoped. Mainly because we were waiting for extra bits really. But yeah, really pleased with how it's turned out. So now we're gonna fire it up for the first time and yeah, see if it blows up or valves hit pistons or see if I've got anything wrong really. So yeah. So that brings us to the end of the first episode of Drive Modified. There's going to be plenty of future episodes to come, so in the near future. Got to sort the bonnet out because that still doesn't shut properly, a few other bits and pieces. So I hope you liked it. I'm by no means a mechanic, just someone who enjoys working on cars. So if you enjoyed it and want to see more, like if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, subscribe if you want to see more of the videos, and yeah, leave a comment down below, tell me what you think. All right, see you later.